Alright fellas, I'm going to hit you up with a little quick video here on good old wind. I have successfully flown my Phantom at 20 plus mile an hour winds. I've flown at the beach. I've flown it in, after storms when the wind comes following it, things like that. And I thought I'd maybe throw a little video together for those who are afraid to fly the Phantom in the wind. As you can see right now, let me see if I can get my phone to show you. On my iPhone and most iPhones and Androids, you have a weather app. See that little app right there? That's your friend. Right now in West Orange, it is 43 degrees. And if you touch this, you get the wind. Right now it's 14 degrees out. It gusts probably up to 17 at times. And I'm going to show you how to fly and how well it flies in wind. So I have it all ready. She's got a lock. I have 8 satellites, which is key. Again, you can see here on my Phantom app. Let me get it to zoom in or clear it up. There's 8, okay? I have 8 satellites. That's critical. You want to have as many as you possibly can when you're flying in the wind, because the wind is going to push your Phantom, and you want a good GPS lock. So now we're ready to go. I'm going to send it up. Let me move this up so you can see it. See how it blows around? It's gusty right now. When you feel a gust of wind like I'm getting right now, you can see it's blowing it back, so I'm going to push it forward. The wind is coming towards us right now. It's in our face. So what you're going to want to do when you get a gust of wind is you want to, as soon as you detect it coming, you want to push your Phantom into the wind. And the purpose is because if you don't push it into the wind, it's going to blow your Phantom back like this. So for example, the wind is going out that way, okay? The wind is coming our way, it's coming this way at us, it's at our face. So when I feel a gust of wind, I hit the throttle forward to push the Phantom into the wind. Because if you don't, watch, see the gust, you might hear it, it'll blow the Phantom back towards you. Yes, the GPS, a good satellite signal, will help keep the Phantom in its spot, but you can't beat and you can't fuck with Mother Nature. So whenever you get a gust of wind, I always try to push my Phantom into the wind a little so it causes the Phantom to dip down. And I'll show you in a second. I'm going to bring it close. See, it's gusting right now, as you can see, and it's holding its spot fine. I can send it out, no problems. See? I'm only about 26 feet in the air, but you can see it'll do fine in 15 mile an hour winds. And like I said, like if I'm coming towards us, which is the winds to the back of the Phantom towards, coming towards the camera, it will make the Phantom run that much hotter, or makes it move that much faster. You want to, whenever you feel a gust coming, you want to stop moving it towards you or in the direction of the wind and go reverse of it. Because if not, it might cause the Phantom to tip or become very unstable. So now what I'm going to do to kind of show you a little bit easier, I'm going to land it real quick. And when I landed technically. It's very top heavy. Here, I'll show you now. Let me show you this. I'm going to show you close up with the Phantom sitting there. See it moving? It's leaning forward. You can see it blowing up and down from the wind. Whenever there's a gust of wind, which there isn't right now, I would push it into the wind like that versus pushing it this way away with the wind. Because when you push it away with the wind, it'll make the Phantom go very fast, and it might even cause it to become unstable. So you want to push into the wind. Like right now, there's a little gust. See that? So I'll push my Phantom into the wind like that, and that will help it keep it from kind of being blown back, and as well as making it unstable. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to land it for you. The way I land mine is I simply catch it out of the sky. I find it's the easiest way to go. And the safest, because the Phantom's very top heavy. Let me bring the Phantom closer to us, so hopefully I can get it in the video. Now, bring it down, like so. Get it somewhat stable and grab it out of the sky, and then turn your left toggle down all the way. The reason why I catch it out of the sky is because it's nearly impossible to have a successful landing with a lot of wind. And the reason for it, and sorry for the darkness, but I'm out in the dark right now. I just wanted to get out and get a little fly in. Here, let's do this. Let's turn it down a little. When you're coming in for a landing, and the wind's pushing you, the Phantom's kind of doing this and it's moving around, and as you try to come in, if you don't come in smooth and you come in while the Phantom's moving across and you're landing, it's going to hit and then tip on you, and then that's where you're going to snap these puppies, your props. So you don't want to do that, and you're going to possibly damage your Phantom. So catch it out of the sky when you're flying in the wind. Okay? So I just want to hit you up with a simple, quick video. Again, and the reason why, if the wind's coming this way, let's just say it's blowing this way, when you're flying your Phantom, don't gun the toggles all the way up. Let me shut my trans off. Don't gun your toggle here all the way up, because what you're going to do is you're flying it, the wind is blowing this way, so it's going to blow this and blow it very quick, causing you to maybe get 35-mile-an-hour speeds out of it. But you run the risk, if a gust of wind comes, it might make it unstable, because it gets under it. The Phantom's going to tilt as the wind's blowing this way, like so, and it might cause it to tip too much, and that could be a problem. So whenever you get a gust of wind, if the wind is blowing this way and you feel the gust coming, pull the throttle of your back here and let the Phantom calibrate itself this way, so it'll fight with the wind a little bit. Now, there's some certain circumstances when you might be flying. If you're wondering, I'm a little cold. I've been out here for about 2 hours, and I'm starting to get a little numb. If you're flying in certain circumstances where maybe you can't stop moving it, then let off of the throttle forward, because let the wind push it a little. Work with Mother Nature, don't go against it. Because if you do, like I said, if you floor forward and the wind's pushing into the back of the Phantom, well, you know, you might be putting your Phantom up on Craigslist for parts. But again, I hope it's a short little video. Don't forget to subscribe. It's fine to fly. Like I've said, I've flown in 20-mile-an-hour plus winds down the beach. I've flown very successfully, both for commercial purposes and not. So you can fly the Phantom. You got to be more concerned about the gusts versus the constant wind. Like, it's one thing if it's 15 miles an hour, but when it gusts, it's like a burst of air, like another 5 miles. That's the wind you want to be careful about. All right? Happy flying, and as always, when in doubt, don't fly. If your instincts tell you maybe it's just a little too windy, don't go out. It's just that simple. But there's times where I have no choice. I have to go out because it's for work. And I have to fly because we have a scheduled date for it. So I just want to let you know it's okay to fly. Just use your head. Don't throttle it with the wind to your back, because you might cause the Phantom to lean too much. Okay, again, just toss this out. I know it's dark out, it's only about 5. Winter sucks, it's cold. And yes, you can fly your Phantom in the winter. I've done it in much colder weather than today, and it flies fine, which I will put out tips and tricks on the winter flying. Again, subscribe, like my video, let me know your comments, and get yourself entered into winning one of these bad boys, the new modified transmitter. Talk to you guys soon. Have something out soon. Thanks. What's going on, fellas? It's Frankie Knuckles. I want to put out another video for you guys. I want to bring it a little closer. I want to actually, not put out one, but actually clarify a video I did on wind, flying in the wind. Something that I think everybody one time or another gets a little nervous about. But it's one of them things, if you don't practice, then you're never going to get it, and you're never going to do well with it, and possibly even crash and break your Phantom. A couple things, as you know, I mentioned in the previous video, you know, about the wind, you know, and it was a quick video. It was cold out. I was a little tired. I've been out flying for a while. And I just want to clarify things a little bit. The apps that I personally, myself, like to use, I have an iPhone, so I'm sure Android has it as well. This little guy, that's the weather app. When you press that bad boy and open that up, you get to see the weather. It shows you hour to hour if there's any potential rain in the forecast, shows you your temperatures, and as well as the future cast. A beauty with this little app is for a quick snapshot. You press the button there, or you press the screen here, and it flips, and it gives you your humidity, gives you the miles an hour, which is right now 18 miles an hour, is which I flew in today. Gives you the chance of rain, which is 0% right now, and just some basic information that's going to be very helpful if you guys are out flying in this. Another app that I enjoy is Wind Alert. Okay, you open that bad boy up, and that's a great app too, because that gives you some really good details on what's going on in your area. For example, if I press that little button there, that's for my location. If I want to know what's going on with the wind, I can click here. It has a ton of settings and different information that you can go through. I can just, for example, pick the forecast maps right now, and notice how my screen turns green, but you see those arrows? Those arrows indicate the wind direction, and at the top here on the bar chart is the actual miles per hour, you know, for the wind. So when I'm out flying, it lets me know what direction the wind's coming from and approximately how strong. And it'll also, you can break it down into hours if you go through all the different settings here, and you can find out at what points in the day is maybe your best to go out and fly. But in the, you know, when you're in the professional arena, sometimes you, unfortunately, and this is why I'm making this video on flying, sometimes, unfortunately, you don't get to choose when you really want to fly, because you have scheduled flights with people and they expect you to be there, and the weather doesn't always cooperate when you want to do that. Let's clarify the Phantom. In my video, alright, what I tried to explain, and I'm hoping I can do better here, is at a normal hover state, and a hover state is when your two toggles on your transmitter are at a neutral zone, or in the middle, untouched. Your Phantom should, ideally, we wish it all would stay like this. And it might swerve around a little bit with the GPS and what have you. If you ever flown in somewhat of a windy day, say maybe 12 to 25 mile an hour winds, you might notice the Phantom will do a lot of this. It'll wiggle around and spin around a little bit, and that's because the Phantom's smart enough inside this shell to know when it's off balance. For example, if it tipped a little this way, what would happen is these two motors would slow down, and these two motors over here would pick up to try to rebalance it back to near or as close to zero as possible, or the hover state, which is this, and then just kind of float. If you're flying in, say, 18-mile-an-hour winds like I did today, or even more, and I have, if you have the wind to the back, naturally, if I go to move forward like this, the Phantom doesn't fly forward like this. What the Phantom does is it tips. The reason for it is these two motors slow up, these two motors pick up. And the purpose of that is to tip, so the thrust and force here pushes the Phantom forward. That's all fine and good under normal circumstances. However, if you have gusts and you have 18-mile-an-hour winds and you floor the toggle all the way up to make it go forward, it's going to tip and start to go. But if you have wind to the back of the Phantom pushing, depending on how strong that gust could be or how windy it is, it could potentially give it too much of a push, causing it to tip and even maybe topple. So what I was saying is, when you're in a windy day, what you're going to want to do is work with the wind. The wind is your friend. And if you work with it, it's almost like, what do they call it in NASCAR? I can't think of the word, where you tailgate and you preserve your gas. Well, you can preserve your battery life if you let the wind do the work for you. And basically what you would do is, depending on how strong it is and how much gust, depends on how much force you push forward to move it forward. If you're flooring it to move it forward and you sense a strong gust coming, let off of the throttle. Bring it back to almost zero if you have to, or leave it on a slight slant. Say at full throttle it slants this much, let's just say. Maybe you might want to do a half a throttle and let the wind push the rest of it. And then that will help prevent possibly tipping it over. Now, there's been times where I've done that and all is fine, but the gust of wind I sensed coming was really strong. I would even sometimes tip it back a little bit. So the wind's kind of pushing in, it almost kind of helps prevent it from flipping this way on me. Another thing too is you want to avoid, and I've been in situations where I might have two tall buildings. You know, I can't really indicate it now, but you might be in a tunnel or in an alleyway. You got to be cautious of that, especially. What I like to do, when I sense a gust is coming, I usually will floor it up, making my Phantom go up very quick, up over the buildings. So if I say, for example, I have two buildings like this and my Phantom's right here, the force coming through that tunnel is amplified because it's compressed, and then it rushes through the tunnel and you get a really big gust. That gust can make the Phantom get real crazy. And you know, if you're too close to a wall, that just might be enough to cause you to bump into the wall and then say goodbye to your Phantom. Whenever I sense a gust of that level, I'll usually floor it up over the building, because once you get out of that tunnel, the gust is not nearly as strong as it is inside that tunnel. You know, and there are times where I'm in a building, in between two buildings or something like that, and that comes into play, and you got to be aware of it and rely on your senses. When you feel like it's coming, send the Phantom up real quick, up over the buildings, if you can't grab it out of the air or do something like that. Another thing, yes, you can use these, but I don't recommend them. It depends on the situation. The reason why I don't recommend these is because these things, these prop cards, yeah, they're great if you got them on and you slam into a wall. It could be a big help. But at the same time, when wind, these things almost act like kites. And then you want to talk about seeing your Phantom floating in the air off of these things. I don't trust them. I very rarely use prop guards at all. I don't like them. I don't like the way the Phantom flies with them. I feel very uncomfortable with them. And I certainly don't like them in a high windy day. So I would recommend only use them if like you're flying near things, which I do at times. Some of my customers want me to get close into things, and if I feel like getting close into it might be too close, then I might stick one of these puppies on it and let it rip. But normally no. I try my best to avoid them, to be quite honest with you. So that's what I wanted to cover. I just wanted to cover, you know, and clarify flying in the wind. The other thing I would say too is when it is windy, it's really, really, really important that you have a really good GPS lock. The more the better. You know, in a windy day, I prefer to have 10 plus on my satellite locks. And the reason for it is because the better the satellite lock, the more stable your Phantom becomes. You know, I've gone up with a 6, locked on 6, and my Phantom didn't fly well. It was doing a lot of this and wiggling and whatnot. And I've gone up on 11 and 12, and my Phantom didn't even move. So you want a real good GPS lock when you're going into the wind, because that'll help prevent, you know, it makes it more stable. And my last thing is if you're new to wind and you're scared, and rightfully so, hey look, let me say this. When in doubt, don't fly. If you feel it's just a little too much, don't fly. Like I flew today, it was like I said, you saw there, 18 miles an hour. I'm not gonna lie to you, I kind of shit myself a little bit at points because the wind gusted very hard. It was very windy. And even when I had the Phantom on the ground and I was queuing it up, at one point it was so windy it went like that on me a little. It like just tipped a little laying on the ground. So I was a little nervous, and rightfully so. If you get nervous, don't fly. It's just that simple. You know, no sense in losing your investment. Sometimes, unfortunately, like I said, if you have a scheduled flight, you don't want to let the customer down. You know, say it's a wedding. Maybe you're going to do some friends' wedding pictures. What are you going to do? You can't say, hey, look, hey, bud, I can't make your wedding because it's too windy out. You know, sorry, why don't you hold the wedding off a couple more hours, or call me tomorrow and I'll come and take the pictures. Just leave your tux on in your wedding dress. That's not going to fly. They're not going to like that. So go out and practice, and what I would say is on windy days, start slow. Maybe go out on a 7-8 degree, you know, 7-8 mile an hour wind. And what I would say is if you're uncomfortable or nervous, remove this. Remove this whole unit. Get it off the gimbal, get the gimbal unit off the quad, and go fly the quad. Because if you do lose control or it does flip or something on you, this is your most sensitive part of the whole quad. I've dropped the quad 80 feet in the air, and this baby fired right up, but that took the hit. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, it was cold out. I was a little tired, and you know, it was windy that day, and I said, you know what? I bet you there are a lot of people out there that want to go out and fly in the wind, or haven't flown in a while and it's windy out and now they feel like they can't. You can, but it takes practice. Start slow. And if you feel very uncomfortable, don't do it. But go out on a 5 mile an hour windy day, and then maybe practice a couple of those. Go out on a 10 mile an hour. Practice on that. You'll start to realize, hey, the Phantom's a little more resilient than I think. Other than that, fellas, I'm going to wrap that up. Just want to remind you, don't forget this bad boy. December 12th. This one's mine. This is the modified DJI transmitter. Unfortunately, you can't have this one, but if you get lucky enough, you might be able to have that. This is the new DJI transmitter, modified. I'm giving it away. It has the wheel, the lock toggle on it, has the LiPo battery, a couple other odds and end features. It's a beautiful transmitter. It's a big upgrade, I think, to your Phantom. You want to have a shot at it? Subscribe to the video, give me some likes, leave me some comments too. Tell me if there's a video you would like me to make or something. I do my best, you know, but let me know how I'm doing and if you like anything I'm doing. And as always, I appreciate it. happy flying, and stay tuned for the next ones. Thanks, guys.